Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness, the highest levels of love light. I'm just gonna go into a little flow. So I'm in my car, obviously. I'll turn a little bit of light on. I'm driving. I get a lot of activations and downloads while I drive. So I'll start off in flow, and then I might give a little energy update. So we'll just go with the flow. Little light language. Again, you can just close your eyes and listen. You don't have to watch my craziness. I won't be looking at the camera anyways. Kuwa hanadea, kuwa wahet estekina, uwa at enuk uhan etea, yet ak ohunoetestak uhana. So I got several languages coming through. I just want to touch on briefly. Somebody recently asked, what languages am I speaking? And I speak many different dialects. They are all in my DNA. Some of the languages are lost languages that are difficult to even pronounce the name of the tribe that it's coming from. So some of them are also a melding or molding of multiple languages. And I'm just going to go in a little bit flow about the dialect. I speak the languages and the dialect of lost languages, lost civilizations that were once part of this earth, that are still part of this earth. For within each of our bodies, within each of our chemistry sets, if you will, holds the alchemy, holds the key to you and me. So I'm hearing like it holds my key, it holds your key. We can call this the gene keys, the generation keys, filling the gaps of information that was lost in the cracks, so to speak. For within the earth holds many different memory banks. We all have access to these different keys if we have inclination to twist. I'm saying twist open. This twist is a reference to a slip knot, a spiral, a strange loop, all of those kind of together. And turning the combination. So it's about finding the combination to unlock those codes. I'm being guided to talk a little bit about Lemuria and Atlantis, which I don't really get into much. Those civilizations we think were lost, yet they are not lost to us, for they are part of our chemistry. They are part of our DNA sets. And as we allow ourselves or set our intentions to connect in with these divine aspects of ourselves, we recognize that these are still histories that are running parallel, yet as one, yet at the same time as our current trajectory. So if you haven't seen my videos before, essentially the easiest way to explain that is time doesn't exist. Even though all of these civilizations are no longer existing in our reality, that does not mean they do not exist in other realities, because we are still running alongside the past and the future. Also, I'm being invited to remind everybody, I wasn't planning on going here, but I had a question somebody asked, so I guess that just might as well go into that space. What happens is our templates hold within them the key for some of these languages. So these linguistics will come up because they were part of civilizations that we were a part of. And the language is something that is with us. We take it through our birth, or we're supposed to. For this communication allows us to play with all of the sounds of our previous realities. So technically we're supposed to come in or we have the capability of coming into this lifetime with our memory of all of our past lives. Some of us are remembering those past lives through light language, or future versions of us we're able to tap into as well. We recognize that linguistical play. So what happens is with these other civilizations, I'm hearing Mesopotamia. I'm seeing the Cretan civilizations. I'm seeing multiple Native American cultures. I'm also being reminded to share with everyone that when you speak a language, oftentimes, for example, accents, I might be from the United States. So, for example, Native Americans, there's hundreds of Native American cultures, that speak different languages. My ancestry is Cherokee Chippewa, but I've got other lost Native American cultures that people don't even remember the names to. Now, here's the thing. My intention is not necessarily to bring those cultures back. And that's the key to this, is many of us think that, or maybe assume that part of us speaking these languages is to bring these cultures back so we can remember them. And while that is true for some of us, it isn't about us going back and digging up the past to learn about our ancestors. It's just allowing that past to integrate, from my perspective, within my own being. So for me, it's more about integration than it is, digging up what the past civilizations had to tell us. Because part of what I do, and some people, that's their gift, that's what they do. I don't always get the exact name unless I sit and focus on it. So, and unless it's something that my guides, aka my higher aspect, aka my higher self, wants me to talk about or share. It's like, it's more of a just feeling those energies and frequencies because of the labels oftentimes that are associated with those languages. So for example, there are languages, I'm gonna pause this, turn off the light for a minute. There are languages that are from Sirius, okay? But that Syrian language exists among that language. There's multiple versions of it. So just like if you're Native American or Indian or Native, you might have 5 different dialects to encompass one particular group of beings. And that's essentially what my higher self says. You're not just this one. And the intention and my focus isn't just to talk about this one particular group. It's to use myself as an example of a coming together of all of my DNA. And so some of these civilizations that were lost, they have associations attached with them. I might say the word Sirius or Lemuria, for example. Lemuria was a mix of many different quadrants. It wasn't just one particular language. It was a mix of many different languages that came together, and it was a land. There were people there from multiple galactic connections, if that makes sense. So I'm turning this off again. And so what happens is we can get hung up sometimes on the linguistical representation. We might say, ooh, that might be bad. Is it from Sirius A or from Sirius B? Well, just because you might be from one particular region of let's say you were from Orion, and you might know about the Orion Wars, that doesn't mean it's bad. That's like saying, you have somebody from the United States who is not a good person, but they speak English. That doesn't mean all of English is a bad language. So that's really something I've been invited to remind everybody to kind of focus, realize that. Not to say that that's what you're doing if you're listening to this. You might just be curious, and that's fine. That's fun. But there are those people out there who are still in that place of judgment about light language and about particular entities and things like that. Bottom line is, it's all about our vibration and what we hold when we bring these languages through. And we can take a language that might have been a primarily hostile race, for example, and carry it through and bring the beauty out of it that was intended in the beginning. Or maybe that was, you know, something that was lost in translation is what I'm hearing. So that was just a little excerpt from that. I wasn't planning on going there, but there we go. Kuawat eat ustanak at ehanak uahana. Kuawat esteste no kuanat ua et est ak uhunuatea. It is time to let go of the past and grasp that which it is that is in your hands now. For within your hands now is the past. You have the ability and capability to unify with yourself in such a way that the past comes together and all conflicts are able to be resolved, so to speak, in a line of resolution that ripples back into the deepest craters of civilization, the deepest depths of all of the existences in which you have been existing in now. For we are time travelers. We are all aspects of the Divine Mother, the Divine Father. For we are the children of the Sun. We are the children of many sons. We are the children and the mothers and the fathers. For within us we have birthed many nations. I'm getting emotional. Maybe I'm glad the lights aren't on. We have birthed many civilizations, and many civilizations are being birthed around us. We are feeling into these aspects of ourselves, for we are the diamond convergence. As we converge and merge and flow and shift and morph into these, through these barriers, these perceived barriers that have been, again, perceived as set up against us, we recognize that we have always been the diamond in the rough, so to speak. Some of us may have chosen to have it rough, to rough and tumble, if you will, to be tumbled around in the cosmos. Yet, as we come out in this particular quantum field, polished, as we allow ourselves to access into the higher resonance, we recognize and realize that we are the many facets. I talked about this in my previous Instagram post, faucets. We allow ourselves to flow into the many versions of us. We allow ourselves to have the life review now. For as we look back in review of what we have experienced in this lifetime, we can zoom out and view ahead to what our future holds for us now. We are being invited to step out of this time matrix of survival mode. For this is merely a reflection of an old chemistry that I'm hearing again, old habits die hard. As you make these changes within your chemistry now, you bring yourself into a deeper route, so to speak. I'm actually seeing, I'm seeing like if you are like in a disaster area and you see an evacuation route, like whether it be someplace in the Midwest and they have like tornado warnings, or you're in some place where there's hurricanes. I'm just having this reference. I'm seeing that symbol of that storm. And it's again, this reference that I had many years ago to being in the eye of the storm, being the eye of the storm and steering the tornado. This gives us the ability to access more of our potential, because I had a meditation years ago that was life-changing for me, and it seems so simple. But in my meditation, I was in the center of a tornado, and all of a sudden, it was like a meditation dream. I had stopped the tornado, and I was sitting inside of this tornado, and it was still. And all of the energy around this tornado basically was frozen. Sorry guys, I know it's dark, but the message is clear, I hope. And everything around it, it looked like fabric. Like if you pause the energy that's inside of the storm, it looked like a plasma fascia. So if you've never seen fascia in the body, it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating. And it looks like bubble gum when you chew up bubble gum and you stretch it out all over everything, between that and cotton candy. So in my dream, the tornado looked like cotton candy, and it even had a slight soft pink hue to it, pink purple hue to it. And I literally was like, this was in the very beginning of my recognizing that I was seeing things that were mystical to me. At the time, that was like, what is going on? No, I had not done any drugs. And so I, in the meditation, climbed up this tornado. I saw a cow in it. I saw like projectile items inside the wall of this fascia. And it was holding all of these inanimate and organic objects. And as I climbed up this wall of the tornado, I actually got to the top. And as I got to the top, it was like a giant cobweb. And I looked, and in my meditation, there were many other tornadoes as well. And I was seeing the top of these tornadoes, and they were all portals. They were all access points to other dimensions and different places in space-time, wormholes, you might want to call it. Now, why am I going off on this tangent? What that did for me is I tied that in with my fascia in my body. And I recognized, and this was just one of the things that I did, but I recognized that this fascia that was in my body, our fascia, our bodies are portals. We are walking portals to other dimensions. And if we can be in that space of centeredness and focus, we actually stop things from, we stop and we be still and know. And this is part of what getting centered is all about. This is why meditation is so powerful. We stop and know, or be still and know, and we have these moments of clarity, wisdom, integration, interpretation, aha moments. And what happens is the energies are able to acclimate. We're able to learn more about our past, our present, our future. And when I've had these moments of stillness, I'm getting to another point here, I was able to remember who I was in previous lifetimes. I literally went through those portals and saw other versions of myself, saw children that I'd had in past lives, seen future versions of myself, saw myself on spaceships, saw myself in other planets, saw myself in other timelines on Earth. And what happened was I was able to integrate a lot of these memories that were held within my biology complex, is what I'm hearing. Because our biology is a complex network of communication. And I'm being guiding. So look up fascia, check it out, see what it looks like, and visualize that as a tool in your body. It's an information field. Literally, all throughout your body is another system that connects you to all systems, connects you to all things. And the communication that bubbles up from us accessing our fuller potential from being still is what is part of what a lot of us are realizing, coming online with, connecting into. And if we're not doing that, part of that is that we haven't, it might be that we need to hydrate our fascia because we are in physical form. It might be that we need to drink more water. It might be that we need to get colonics. It might be that we need to do a cleanse. It might be that we need to do more energy work, get an energy worker like myself or anybody you feel guided to work with. Guys, if you don't feel comfortable getting energy work, you can go maybe learn how to do it on yourself, take a class. You can also go get massage, myofascial release. You can do cranial sacral. If you're interested in learning about other people, I have a lot of people I follow on Instagram and YouTube who do the same work that I do. It may be that you just have to find that right person to help you unlock your own potential. And you'll feel guided to work with those beings. It might be that you're needing to get outside and do yoga on the earth barefoot. That was a really powerful tool for me that I've gotten a little bit out of the habit of in the same way that I used to be. And I have to remind myself even from time to time, oh, okay, I need to get outside and do some movement, because that was one of the keys that I had to use to unlock my dream time capabilities, so to speak. And we are in a constant space of dream time. We are in this reality, which is an unfolding dream, so to speak. So, having said that, I'll get back to the language. So, I'm being guided to also share more about this fascia, and I'm trying to kind of see what it is that I'm being guided to speak about with this fascia. It's a network carrier of information, and what happens is this information is a device, and I'm hearing this is a big play on words, like it's been devised, like everything works together. And so I'm going back to language. It's a language, shape, and form that's in the body. It's a form of communication. So if we start looking at our entire body as a communicative device and recognize that we are essentially morphed with it and start using it as our tool, like we use, people are really into this whole AI and artificial intelligence. Our body is organic intelligence. We have the potential to self-heal. We have the potential to create immunity. We have the potential to teleport, to do telekinesis, to be telepathic, to time travel, to astral project, to lucid dream. But I would say those things are all really cool. But beyond that, claircognizant, clairvoyant, clairaudient, communicating with source in a different framework and way. And it starts with our bodies. So I guess that's really the biggest theme right now, and I can see why this language was, there's a lot of people looking to escape their body. They're looking to, I'm hearing get out of town, right? They just are feeling worn out. They're feeling a little disheartened. And so I'm going to end with this and say, if you've made it this far in your body, obviously I've stopped my car. First of all, if you've made it this far in this video, congratulations. I do what I can with the time that I have. It's been a very busy week for me. And I want to talk a little bit about that in my next video, because I've had so many amazing sessions with different amazing questions I'm going to bring up. But if you've made it this far, you're not some wimp, okay? You've got gifts. Everybody has them. So congratulate yourself. Stop and take a deep breath and realize that you came here, you're here now. So get in tune with your bodies, and language is part of it. What are we telling our bodies in English? If we're focused on light language or focused on our galactic heritage, that is cool and fun and very useful, and everybody can do it, I think, from my perspective. But that doesn't mean that that's really that important for everybody. Are we doing what we need to do? So how do we access those things? What I just mentioned: exercise, connecting with earth, eating the right foods. I start out with a greens mix. I've been starting out with a greens mix every morning. I'm just as guilty as everybody else. Sometimes I just am not very good with my foods. Sometimes I drink wine. Sometimes I don't smoke cigarettes, but there's no judgment. Whatever. Everybody's got their thing. And we're human. Lighten up is what I'm being told to share with everybody. It isn't necessarily like, okay, I have to detoxify my pineal gland and I have to learn light language. And then I've got to figure out what that means and what is my galactic heritage and was I alive in a past life? I think I was. Just relax. Because the more you do what you need to do, which is right in front of you, Jason Estes talks about it. I really like his teachings, by the way, if you haven't checked him out. ESTES, MTVO team. I haven't listened to all of them, but I've listened to a few, and I really resonate with him. He always says, do what's right in front of you. And I think that's a powerful tool because we do get caught up out here sometimes, myself included. And it really is reminding ourselves that we're in a physical body and we are a walking communication. So what we think is going into our body. Our thoughts aren't just out here in space. Who do these thoughts belong to? Are we taking on other people's energy? This happens with me and all the time in sessions with people. I will work with someone and I feel all this crap in their field. And I'm like, whose is that? Is that yours? And of course, sometimes I ask those questions because I want people to ask themselves, is it mine? I can tell you if it's yours or not most of the time, unless I'm not supposed to know or I'm being blocked from knowing, which is fine. But most of the time I'll recognize, oh, this is a coworker. Oh, this is somebody that you just came into contact with. This is a childhood person that you decided to take on. And that can be helpful to know, oh, okay, who could it have been? But oftentimes, you guys know, I'll be working with someone and they'll be like, yeah, I know who that is. So it is a matter of recognizing that, right? And that's what we're doing with our extrasensory abilities. It's like, okay, who does this belong to? I will get, working with someone who all they want to do is speak the light language and get their galactic history, and they're not meditating. Or they've done a lot of work, but they're so intense about it that they haven't lightened up to let the information come in. So I'm going to end on that note. If you guys are taking yourselves really seriously, the laughter is key to allowing this information to come in. Otherwise, it doesn't click into place, Dorothy, right? It doesn't. It's like we get so wrapped up that we not only create a disconnect from our body, we create a disconnect from source, because then we're back into ego, mind, and the human aspect that is basically telling us, I have to do things in this particular order, in this particular way. And yes, if you're not meditating and you're not doing the basic steps, that's a really good reason as to why maybe you're not hearing or understanding the messages that are coming through from your guides, or you're not understanding what you need to do next. And that's where the energy work or working with the counselor or whatever you need to help activate, open, relax, whatever is needed. And that's, again, about us listening to what our body's telling us. Our bodies will tell us when we need a massage, or if we feel like we might want some energy work, it might be a good idea to get some. You know what I mean? Or if you feel like maybe I should stop drinking coffee, that might be your higher self telling you caffeine is disrupting your extrasensory ability. Those are all little things that add up. The language. When we tell ourselves that we are too busy or don't have enough time, or the world's too much of a mess for me to focus on, my spirituality. Those are stories that we are essentially giving value to, buying into, creating about ourselves that are not real unless we choose to believe that they are. Because for obvious reasons to many people watching. So I'm going to end on that note. That was kind of the theme. Get into the body, start visualizing the fascia as a network. Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever search engine you use, fascia. Take a look at it. It really is, covers our entire body. And I think of that's how I visualize when I'm working with other people around their body. Yes, I see bubbles and I see shapes and colors and I hear sounds. It's not just the fascia, but that fascia network is what everything looks like to me. The trees have it. The ether has it all around. It really does look like a web. Watch what we're telling ourselves. Be aware of of the words that we're speaking. And that way, when you do start opening up to light language, I'll start with the end with the beginning in mind. And you do hear certain languages, you don't freak yourself out or you don't doubt, because a lot of this is self-doubt. A lot of this is like, is this my imagination? Everything is our imagination. We've created this reality and imagined it into being. Einstein didn't have somebody just tell him what things were. He imagined them and thought about them and put pieces together, as do many of the other scientists. And I'm using him as an example because he's the most famous. But if you look up physicists, they all use their imagination and ask questions that come from their imagination in order to visualize and piece together pieces of our reality. And what they are tapping into is the same thing we have the capabilities of tapping into. So what brings us joy? What is fun for us to tap into? If we don't like to move and we don't ever exercise, guys, I know light workers that are highly psychic, yet they might have a lot of health issues. So I guess I'm being guided to talk a little bit about balance as well. If we're only focused on the spiritual, that can create and make it difficult for us to embody the spiritual, because then all of the blockages that we have in our body keep us from really coming into our fullest potential. Yet if we feel good in our bodies and we're taking care, that doesn't mean somebody has to be skinny, or somebody has to be buff, or somebody has to be, or full of muscles. People can be all shapes and all sizes. It doesn't matter. It's whatever our vessel needs. There is no perfect right or wrong answer to that. We all chose to embody our physical form in a different way. Male, female, big, small, short, skinny, fat, buff, all of the above. Brown, black, white, all of it. So we are this giant rainbow. So if the physical, stop beating ourselves up for not looking a certain way or weighing a certain weight or all of these things, which we all do from time to time. But it's important because that is another thing that we're telling our bodies. We're not worthy, we're not good enough. So it's no longer, I've got to do this greens mix because I got to